In Game 1, Cosmic Sapphire, DreamHack Atlanta 2022 DreamHack SC2 Masters. Let me introduce, in the top left, the Korean Terran player. In the red, it's Bunny. Where are you going? On the other side, the underdog, the challenger, battling his way through, beating Lambo, Sue, Harstam, and more. Can he continue his streak? The Canadian Protons, Trigger. Bunny has opted for a proxy Rex to kick things off. Not unexpected, but will Trigger actually scout for it? He's gonna see the lack of information is plenty of information in and of itself. He's gonna get up the ramp. He's gonna see exactly 0 barracks, and that's gonna give away more than enough. Now the question is, how much do you commit? Because Trigger has not gone for the quick nexus. He is gonna expand here. You don't want to be overly cautious. Oh, but wait! It's not gonna be your average Reaper proxy. It's not any sort of proxy factory. It's a concussive shell push? Yes, the Marauders! Well, I assume we're gonna see concussive added on, otherwise, yeah. Well, it's an old build, but it checks out. He's gonna need a shield battery. If there is no shield battery and he undercommits, like if this is a Reaper, you probably don't need a shield battery. If there's no bunker, if Trigger's just trying to play it safe, he's scouting. He's looking. If he sees the Marauder, that's everything. Oh my god! No! This is everyone proxies here. I mean, it's not the most obvious, but it's like the 3rd out of 7 most obvious locations. It's easily in the top 4. And you're not going to get to the top 4 if you don't have a shield battery with 2 Marauders coming in the front door. Oh, no. Trigger, he reacts. Oh, my God. In time. The battery, though, dangerous. The Stalker, its many knees broken. He pulls the probes, cancels the battery. He gets the money back. Deals with the SCV. It's 2 Marauders. He's still going to need some probes. A 3rd Marauder's on the way. Microing back. That shield battery is very important. Here comes a Hellion, making things more difficult. 2 Stalkers is just not gonna cut it here. He's pulling probes, but are you gonna fight this with the probes? The Hellion turns things around. He just cancels the bunker as no SCV's coming. Trigger. All he needs to do is hold. If he holds without losing the majority of his probes, he still has 2 Nexi. He's gonna have Warp Gate. He's got 2 more Stalkers on the way. This is a rough position to be in, especially with 2 Hellions. The Hellions are the real kicker. Because the actual counter to this is, awkwardly, probes. Loses a Stalker. And he's right on the edge of losing Game 1 that quickly. Oh, the Marauders. Kiting around. That pylon is incredibly important. Warps in 2 more Stalkers. Probes will have to be pulled. The Hellion's a deadly threat. Doesn't lose the Stalker. He's already losing a bunch of probes, though. The micro is great. But is it great enough? Uses a shot over here. The probe micro. The Stalkers. Oh, just 1 Stalker left. The Hellion's working on everything. Trigger is bleeding out. And I think in Game 1, Bunny gonna make up for lost time. All right. Well, that was decisive. Certainly. And they are ready to go. They are so ready to go. They're immediately in the next game starting it. Both these players are... I have no reason to stop them, all right? If they want to get into the game, that kind of tells you the attitude right here. on Saturday. A 12 pylon from Trigger. Here on Moon Dance, game 2, round of 24. 12 pylon. Oh, I think he's just playing it real safe this time around. Making sure he has the gate out. He might decide on some aggression. Bunny is all... Is this a Macarex, or is he actually coming across the map? He wouldn't do it again. This series, not this series, this tournament so far has been filled with a lot of he wouldn't do it again. And guess what? Indeed. No, where are you going? That probe? Probe saw the SCV. You... Okay, yeah, it's an NG Bay block. I should have known. If I could read a production tab. If I could pretend to be a professional for a moment and read a production tab, I would have already known there was a barracks in production. But the NG Bay block. Thing is, though, we do have that 12 pylon double gas. This looks like an obscenely quick Stargate. Oh, come on with this. It's Trigger's turn. Oh, my. Well. Yeah. Need I say more? That is certainly a location for a pylon. The NG Bay. He might want to finish that NG Bay if he figures this out. The Zealot. I don't think the Zealot was spotted. The Stargate begins. A shield battery already. A command center. It looks like Bunny gonna be on the receiving end of just not having nearly enough. Can he see it from there? No, there's no vision. Oh, like, what have I done? I picked this series thinking we'd have a close match, and you know what? We might very well, but not what I thought. Here comes the Zealot. It could just go through the reactor. I'm pretty sure it'll be... Like, you can't repair it until it's finished for reasons that... Because science reasons. That's boring science stuff, Terry. Oh, God. He's gonna have... It's just over. The game is over. Not again! Oh, we're speedrunning! Well... No, there's nothing. He has nothing. Yeah, might as well finish that NG Bay while you got the chance. Is he gonna be suspicious at all? He really should be. There's not even warp gate on the way. Well, surprise! Oh my god. Like, what do you do? Is he gonna go back down and finish the NG Bay? Finish the NG Bay! Oh, it's bad. It's really, really bad. And by the way, he doesn't know this yet, but there's 4 shield batteries down here. So it's not like a Cyclone is a deadly choice. He's burning through the tech lab. Bunny gonna make a game of it. He knows the Cyclone. Well, the Cyclone's gonna pop out, and it might actually be able to target a void. He needs to get back to the batter. Oh no, that's a horrible feeling. Oh my. He saw it with the Reaper. Oh god, and there's a Phoenix. Yeah, pick up the Cyclone. There it is. Does like the little off to the side pick him, gives him the side eye. Gets the Cyclone. And there we go. And that's 2. 2 down. All time. We're down to a best of 3. And, and here we go. Yeah, they deserve each other. That's what we've learned here so far. Both these players equally matched with equally sharp cheeses. Almost exactly the same amount. They both games ended about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Maybe a little bit on either side, but My God. We're on Data C. If there was ever a time to chill out, calm down, and return to sanity, Data C is the map. Trigger on the left, Bunny on the right. Double gas for Bunny, but that's your standard TVP opener nowadays. If we can even care about standard anymore. Trigger taking a look around. Taking a look around. Oh my God. Even my words can't catch up with this series. Looks like everybody woke up and decided they wanted to get this round out of the way as quickly as possible. It is still many hours before your average nerd wakes up. The downside of these events where you have to put on shoes. Probe takes a look up the top of the ramp. There's a barracks there. So, with no NG bay, with no buildings outside of his main. We all know weak Terrans build in the main. Alright, historically that's been true. But in this case, we're just calming down a bit. Looks like we will survive to the 5-minute mark, hopefully, without deadly damage. Reaper scouring the edges. Both of them, well, have good reason to be cautious at this stage. Hellion will be the choice. Is that Jeff the scouting Hellion? I believe it is, making a cameo appearance. He doesn't have multiple Reapers. This is not trying to get in, get some probe damage. This is just driving by and taking a look around. Maybe killing a probe or two if he's like, do the thing! Do the thing! Ah! He did it! Okay, it's pretty consistent. So why do we Reaper wall again? Somebody explain to me what the Reaper wall is for. Because this is one of my biggest pet peeves. Is the Reaper wall essentially just becoming a massive liability for tank pushes? And by the way, it doesn't even wall! As the Reaper just bounces itself into the main! By the way, speaking of the main, Trigger... Oh no! Well, he got in. He did not get out. Lucky for him, he got a scout, but actually ends up losing the Adept to a Widowmine there. We have Blink on the way. A bit of an awkward start so far, but we are returning to some semblance of sanity. We have a Widowmine drop lining up against Robo Blink. Trigger going to try to shut down any sort of early aggression with the minimum investment so we can get a third Nexus. Whereas Bunny going to try to control that economy and set himself up for an attack a little later on. The mines are loaded up, medevac boosted out, and this is where the fun begins. Third Nexus on the way. The Reaper Hellion still waiting. Maybe he'll try to use it to distract. Blink is not quite done yet. Though there is no armory. Here comes the medevac. Alright, he sees it. The mines will drop out. He doesn't have Blink. Gets the medevac. The mines will be triggered. I don't think Trigger mines. 5 probes killed. Some of those, make that 6. The Widowmine's trying to scamper their way out of the base, but it's not going to be enough. 6 probes. The thing is, he got everything. He got the Hellion Reaper, he got the medevac, and he got all the mines. If any of those units, especially the medevac, got out, then it'd be harder to judge. But I'd say about as good as you're gonna get for Trigger there. You can't rely on killing the mines before they take a shot, but minimizing the damage is the best option. He's got a Templar Archives before a Forge on the way. Is this straight up Storm? Also, another thing is the popularity. That Observer giving a bit of a trigger warning here. As Bunny trying to hop into his base. Blink Stalkers get 3. Oh, Stalkers at the back. Well, he might lose one to... Nope. Well diffused. So far, Trigger handling it fine. And he goes straight to Storm. This isn't some sort of Archon timing. He's got 60 probes. He's slamming down more gates. This is intent on crushing a 2-base push. Widow Mines? No problem. Mass Bio? Definitely not the counter here. Your usual Terran 2-base will be shattered by some good storms. And in fact, he's doing a great job in diffusing the mines at the front as well. Oh, Bunny getting a few Stalkers for free. Nice consolation prize there. Jimmy, it's a little more dramatic than this, I think, right? Stalker still... well, he's distracted. And so was I. Oh my god. The drop snuck out. Wait a second. What is the army supply? 61 to 31. You don't want to bring the probes against this. Where's the army? Trigger, where's your army? The Widow Mines connect. Trying to micro some charge lots back. Storm is good, but the medevacs are healing. He's already pre-split. I mean, he doesn't really have any units. Working on the Archon. Charge lots coming through. More mines. He really wants to dodge. Oh no, he lost the Archon. That was an incredibly important part. The auto turrets at the back and Trigger's falling apart here. Wow, this just in shambles. Bunny tearing through him. Only 8 minutes in. There's nothing left. Bunny just takes it home. I think Trigger and myself a bit taken aback by the strength of that push. The Storm wasn't ready. The Storm was... Oh my god, they are... How is he... I want to comment on one thing, is how quickly Bunny is able to make these games. Like, I'm trying to finish my sentence. I'm invited to the lobby for the next game. Okay, what was I saying? I think going for Storm that early, while good, is a reach. It costs 200 gas plus any amount of Templar. So you're already looking at 350 gas before your first Storm, which is more than your 1-1 upgrades. It's several sentries, of which I don't think Trigger had any. Storm is more of a mid to late game option nowadays. It's almost cheesy to go for Storm that early, because if your opponent just hits you hard and fast enough, you're not going to have enough underneath. Well, Bunny up 2-1. And it's been about 15 minutes of game time so far. He's looking. Where would you hide a barracks if you were Bunny? I think after that last game, why bother? Like, if a bio timing is going to be so deadly, you've got 2 tries at it. The only game Trigger has won so far was the proxy Stargate behind his main on Moondance. So, I don't think that's a particularly intimidating game for Bunny. He's hiding the 2 gas back here. It's not so much that he wants to hide the 2 gas as he wants to keep Trigger guessing. It could be the Widow Mines again. It could be a bio push. You don't know. Anything you can do to keep him in the dark. Honestly, Trigger just started getting really sloppy with his stalkers there. It started out very good, but it comes apart incredibly quickly, especially when you go for the heavy tech compositions. Why every game? Why is it like this? Shh. At least this time there wasn't a dramatic battle happening at the back. Like with Haz, when you have 35 charge slots, well, you don't really care too much about losing a few of them. But when you only have 10 stalkers and you lose 4 essentially for free, that doesn't leave you in nearly as good a spot. It's going to be Twilight again. I do think the build was fine. It's just the execution. Could have used some work. Bunny, with the most cookie cutter of timings, was able to just walk across. And it's very thin with Protoss. You don't have a lot of leeway there. If your shield batteries are misplaced or a little late, if your observers aren't in position, there's a lot of things Terran can do to make your life very difficult. Reaper. Not even... Well, we're not bothering with the Reaper wall on this map. I thought it might knock it down. Cyclone on the way. Robotics facility. Oh, you bet he's building that at the front. Jeff is here. Gonna annoy some probes. He already scouted the Robo, and that is clearly not his first tech building. So even if he doesn't see the Twilight, and he will see the Twilight, Bunny gets in. Beautifully done. Just in case he wasn't sure, but based on the Robo timing, he could have figured it out. Trigger slaps down a 3rd. And this time around, a Cyclone was the first choice. It's kind of like a big Gabe style of mini-mech push. Where you go for all those more powerful units early on. And hey, you can get a surprising amount done with a medevac, a Cyclone, and a handful of Marines. 2 or 3 Stalkers is not going to deal with it. And right now, all Trigger has, he's got 4 Stalkers, and Adept is somewhere, shading in towards the natural. Oh, but the Cyclone. Now, this is an interesting okay. He gives away the medevac, but gets the Adept. Blink is 8 seconds out. No reason not to be out on the map. If he gets the Cyclone, that makes things a lot easier, but good micro out of Bunny. Not going to let that go for free. Dueling on this side of the map. The siege tank hit. Softens things up. The observer didn't quite spot it. Robotics Bay is the choice this time around. A bit less of a reach. Did Trigger see it? That Liberator split off towards the main. And where does he warp in? Oh no, Trigger just warped in Adepts, which means there's nothing to warp into the main. Right now, this tank push. He moves the probes away, but already lost a handful. And not a great position to be dealing with a tank push as well. These are unstimmed, uncombat shielded Marines. They're just meat shields here. But you don't need much of a shield with a tank in that position. The Immortal comes out, blinks the Stalkers forward. There's another tank. The Immortal backing off into the shield batteries. He'll hold for now. The Liberator looks like it was forced back. Just in range of the shield batteries. Trigger, I guess, has given up on his main, is now mining from his 3rd. 2 SCVs gonna hang out as well. Saying mean things to those probes. Meanwhile, we're still fighting on the map. The target fire on the Immortal gets it. The most important unit. Oh, that thing's not supposed to die. It literally is in the name. Liberator's taking down the worker count, 45 to 43. No third command center for Bunny. Couple SCVs kind of left out to dry there. Well, another very similar push. Still no stim, combat shield, no +1. The triple threat's on the way, but Bunny's keeping the pressure on. He runs the risk of overextending against an increasingly large Protoss army. Blink is done. Immortal's in production. The shield battery's well placed. Shield battery overcharge online. Observer is spotting all of this. Yeah, Bunny not going to take the risk. Trigger obviously sees it. Yeah, and Bunny knows he does. And oh no! Oh, I'm not sure who the oh no was for in that scenario, but just in general. Going to spot the main. Trigger sees two unadd-on. Is that the word? We're going to call them naked Rex, which just makes it sound more uncomfortable, but that's the vibe we're going for. Two naked Rex, which means he's got to have some raw production to try to get as many units out as possible on two bases. Trigger should know all he needs to do is hold. He's going to have the worker lead. He's going to have the economic lead. It's all about holding this push. As far as you can force those tanks to siege up, the better. Now, this is a bit awkward. Those are not so charged lots. Well. This is kind of painful to watch. I felt like we should maybe move the camera. Meanwhile, though, the tanks are too well placed. The drop's heading for the main. Trigger didn't quite catch them. And there is a potential recall. He's got to be careful about recalling too many units. And once again, the Zealots are getting caught by Bunny on the left flank. The Colossi and the Blinkstalkers make it into the main, as both of them can essentially cliff jump. 17 probes have died, though. And there goes that worker lead. And Bunny is closing in. He's on match point. He's up 50 supply. And just like that, Trigger's falling apart. Shield battery overcharge. Can't re-shield yourself. And with no overcharge, with 40 left army supply, Trigger on the ropes here. Guardian shield is something. Immortal doing its best. Gets one tank. The rest still standing. The rest of the Marines. The extended thermal lance is done. And that's about it. Maybe gets the... Oh. Well-placed Colossus. But the pylon there powering everything. If only we had a term for that. Meanwhile, dropping on top. Trigger with all the units he needs to deal with the Marines. But the tanks are a much larger threat. The tanks so far back. The Colossi can't even get close. The Nexus goes down, and with it, any hopes of an economic lead. Colossi forced back further. Some Zealots attempting to cut off reinforcements, but the standing army is already too big a threat. What am I looking at here? Bunny is not supply blocked. Yeah, come on in to Bunny's House of Terror and Horrors. Welcome to Home Depot. Can I help you, Mr. Zealot? Well, Trigger's army is 3 Colossi, an Immortal, some Zealots, most of them out on the map. Bunny's on 2 bases, but of course his bases can fly, which is a distinct advantage. The barriers trigger, the Immortal is targeted, down it goes. The Archon's trying to move in position to protect, but the Concave is too damn good here. The Zealots from the back, absorbing some of it, but the Colossi will topple. And with it, the chances of Trigger bringing this back as Bunny takes it 3-1.